Matty Fresh on the track up at State. And I'm bringing to you live my boys Alec and Nate, Tequila Ty, JNELLY and Dylan in the building. So kick it back, pour the drink. We chillin' because I'm boozing and betting and ballin' like I'm 2-6 in the blue kicks. Watch me move quick. Yeah, this the blueprint. So who's getting involved? Welcome into the show. This is Booze, Bets, and Ball, baby.
Watching Tyler dance to the intro there. But welcome back to Booze, Bets, and Ball. We have a very special episode this week because it is the Penn State Auburn preview, the game that everyone's been talking about now for a couple of weeks. I think once Penn State cleared Purdue, kind of everyone's eyes went to that game, and this is really Auburn's first legit game of the year too. So I think their fans have kind of been looking at this game for a while now too. So a lot of build up. Nate's here obviously, and we're very happy to be joined by Kyle, known as All Auburn on Twitter, one of the leaders of the Auburn Twitter, which is one of the most entertaining, I think, fan bases on Twitter by like a wide margin. I think, as you know, I started picking up on that during basketball season last year. It's just really fun to see you guys like ratio and other teams when you would beat them and stuff. It was a lot of fun. So, Kyle, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So, obviously, as everyone knows, this is Penn State returning the favor for Auburn coming up to Happy Valley last year. Penn State won 28-20. I think at the time, both teams' fan bases left feeling pretty good about their teams. And, after that, I think it kind of went downhill for both sides, unfortunately, for different reasons, I guess. But at the end of the day, both would say they underachieved last year. So both teams looking for a bounce back this year, both 2-0 so far, actually. Auburn's faced Mercer, won 42-16, and then faced San Jose State, won 24-16. So I guess we'll start there because last week didn't look like Auburn's offense was clicking all that well. Finley struggled. TJ Finley, the starting quarterback. Do you think Auburn's going to keep going with Finley? Are we going to see more of Robbie Ashford? Is Calzada the third stringer who, I don't know if he was hurt. He was hurt earlier in camp, right, or something. So what do you think is going to happen there with the quarterback situation?
Yeah, I think we see more TJ Finley going forward. Honestly, I think he's a junior. This is his second year in the program. He knows the personnel. He knows the plays. He knows the adjustments. He's going to be more of the captain behind there. Mm-hmm. I think Robbie Ashford was given that chance just to show of his running ability and his ability to put the ball down the field was enough to overtake his deficiencies with knowing the system.
Right.
But I don't think Robbie Ashford's really going to be our starting quarterback this year. Maybe later on down the line, but I do think you'll probably see him a good bit. You'll see him do a lot of read options on like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 situations, goal line situations. He'll probably throw the ball 2 or 3 times if I had to guess. But yeah, I think TJ Finley is definitely the guy who's going to be our quarterback for 90% of the plays. And then for Zach Calzada, honestly, I don't really know too much about that. We all kind of assumed when he got here in spring ball that he was going to be our guy. He was going to be the starter, and he was coming off a shoulder injury, so he didn't play in the spring. So a lot of Auburn fans just kind of assumed he was going to be our guy, and then all of a sudden we got a week into fall camp, and it was hearing chatter that it was TJ Finley and Robbie Ashford kind of giving him a little bit of run for his money, but Zach Calzada's kind of fallen out of the picture really. So he's 3rd string. I don't really expect to see him this year.
Yeah, and when you look at Finley's numbers, I think a lot of it is just people harping on the 3 interceptions because he's completing almost 65% of his passes, and on a run first team like Auburn, that's not really that bad at all to just kind of be a game manager and put the ball on the mark. Do you think? I know we have that problem with Penn State fans where they just can't seem to get over the Clifford pick 6 from the Purdue game and kind of look past all the good things he's done. Do you think there's kind of that feeling too down there with Finley where it's just like they look at the 3 picks and maybe overlooking some of the things he's doing for what he's being asked to do?
Yeah, I'd say more so for that first game. If you kind of look back at the tape, he really looked good. I mean, I remember the first 2 or 3 drives. I looked over to my buddy that I was in the stands with. I'm like, dude, he looks good. Like the ball's coming well out of his hand. Like He's making easy throws. It just seems people are open. He's hitting them in the right spot, hitting them in the stride. He made one downfield, I think, about a 35-yarder, and then all of a sudden, just like 2 straight possessions, he just threw like awful picks. It was like,
Yeah.
dude, you were throwing the ball fine. Like, you looked like you were in control. There was nothing wrong. And all of a sudden, just 2 balls just look awful. So, I was really hoping the second game he was going to kind of come out there and look how he looked the first couple possessions for that first game. And, the first half was kind of rough. We had a little bit of weather. Fans weren't really into it.
Right.
Players just weren't, really. It was just one of those weird games. But, the second game didn't really help. It didn't make me feel any better about him. Definitely felt a little worse. I was hoping to see a little more. But, we'll see. I think this game is really what we're going to know going forward with him. So.
They are. His stats aren't bad. I mean, he's got 8.2 yards per attempt, which is pretty good. Like Alex said, 65 yards or 65% completions almost.
Yeah.
But they do run at a 2-to-1 clip, basically, compared to pass. So on the year, they average 40 rushes and 22 passes per game. So talk about the running backs. I mean, definitely last year, Tank Bigsby left Happy Valley, and everybody thought he was going to be a superstar. How has he done this year, and what do we expect with the running back rotation?
Running back rotation, I think is going to be pretty similar to what we saw last year. I'd say probably 75-25 split between Tank and Jarquez. Tank, the first game, he looked really good. Same with Jarquez. They were just kind of doing what they wanted to. They both broke off a couple long touchdown runs. And then we also have a true freshman, Damari Alston, who's pretty good. I think last game he kind of showed what he's about. He's a stockier. I don't know how much you know about Auburn, but he kind of reminds me of Trey Mason. Going to take a couple guys to bring him down. But yeah, I expect to see a heavy dose of running. I expect that we're going to try to beat Penn State on the ground with Tank Bigsby and Jarquez. If we can't do that, it's probably going to be a long game, if I had to imagine.
Yeah, so how do you feel about the O-line keeping up? I know you guys, your starting center had to retire medically, which is always tough. Penn State's defensive line is kind of in a weird spot where you got a bunch of guys coming back from season-ending injuries last year that the first 2 games they're trying to shake the rust off, and now you're pretty much counting on these guys this game because of how much Auburn runs the ball. But is the offensive line, you think, up to the task to face a Power 5 defensive line this early in the year?
Hey, I guess we'll see. We've played Mercer and San Jose State, so didn't really get to see too much of that. I think they get a little too much flack. I think they're a decent unit. I don't think they're like some awful offensive line that's just going to terrorize us all year. I don't think they're going to be good enough to go play Alabama and Georgia and run all over those kind of guys, but. I think they'll be decent. I think we'll have enough to give Tank and Jarquez an opportunity to make plays. Give TJ an opportunity to hit his throws. I don't think they're going to be the reason we win or lose. I think they'll be good enough to give us a chance, I think.
Through the year, or through the first 2 games at least, they only gave up 1 sack and 6 tackles for loss total. So that's off to a pretty good start. We'll see how those front sevens are versus some of the SEC ones in Penn State, but that's a good start for Auburn, I think.
Right. Yeah. Even last year, I thought our pass blocking wasn't too bad. It was more so the run blocking as the year went on. Tank Bigsby just always breaking tackles and having to put out max effort for a couple yards, but I think the pass blocking's always been somewhat decent.
Yeah, I think Auburn is a unique challenge for Penn State because I think ideally Manny Diaz would like to run a 4-2-5 because he likes his secondary probably better than he likes his linebacker group right now. And obviously it's a lot harder to put 5 defensive backs on the field when you have to face a hard-hitting running back like Tank. So that's kind of where I think Auburn has a little bit of an advantage here, is that it's kind of putting Penn State in a spot where they probably have to bring Abdul Carter, a true freshman linebacker, onto the field more than they want to, just because he's probably the fastest, most athletic linebacker they have. So I think it's a good test, obviously. I would say so.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Nate, what you got anything? Oh, he's muted.
I was
Okay.
just clicking around looking for other stats I want to talk about. But talk about Kyle a little bit on the pass catchers. Who really are the deep threats?
Yeah.
Who's gonna sure hand guys, etc.
Yeah, so for deep threat, Javarius Johnson this year has kind of at least started off to be our guy. He's had 2 or 3 catches over 35, 40 yards. I think he's averaging 22.5 yards per catch right now. So I see him more so being our deep threat. And then through the middle, we got Shed Jackson coming back. He's a 5th-year senior. He's actually Bo Jackson's nephew.
Oh.
And then who else we have? We have Landon King, Xavion Capers, who are bigger, like 6'4", 6'5" guys, probably playing the slot across the middle. A lot of unknowns on receiving. We have a lot of talent. Another guy, Tavares Dawson, who kind of reminds me of Javarius Johnson. He's just like a smaller, really fast, skinny, just elusive kind of receiver. And then we also have a true freshman, Camden Brown, who got a lot of hype in the offseason. He won, Playmaker of the Week a couple times in fall camp. A lot of Auburn fans were hoping him to come out and show something early, and I don't think he even has a catch hit on the year, which is really surprising. So I would hope maybe he gets a better chance now, and we start throwing the ball around a little more. So I think this week, it's going to kind of be the theme. We don't know a whole lot about our team. We have good mix of returners and new guys with new roles and taking on more. So I think after this week, we'll know a lot more about a lot of different parts of our team.
Yeah, I think, if Penn State decides to put 7 or 8 guys in the box to try to stop these running backs, is there enough confidence in Finley and these receivers to go up against, a projected first-round pick and Joey Porter Jr. and then 2 young guys in Ken King and Johnny Dixon? Do you think the fan base, from from your guys' standpoint, do you feel good enough about these receivers to maybe make plays on those guys if called upon?
They're going to have to, but if you're saying the fan base, I think the fan base is a little bit more pessimistic than I am with the passing game. I don't have too much confidence in it right now. We're really going to have to run the ball, and we're going to have to prove that we can run the ball. And if we can get some one-on-one situations, I think that we do have the opportunity and the ability to hit those passes down the field. I think, giving Robbie Ashford, our backup quarterback, a chance to maybe get in there. I could see him throwing a trick play. He had a really good 50, 60-yard pass earlier in the year. So he's got a really good arm, pretty good downfield accuracy. But I think in the space last night I mentioned that there's probably going to be 2 or 3 passes where we, try to push it down the field. And I think those 2 or 3 plays could ultimately be the decision of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I turned on the game late last week. It was like going into the second half, I think, and I saw Robbie Ashford run for a lot of yards, right? And it gave me flashbacks to Arkansas last year in the bowl game when their backup quarterback came. I think they threw 1 pass in the second half, but ran for like 300 yards or something like that. So that's been Penn State's bugaboo a little bit.
Robbie Ashford, he's fast. I mean, he's like a 6'4" guy. He's legit 4.4 runner. I mean, he can turn on the burners. He can take it 80 yards if he has to. So
I hope he has to, and I hope he doesn't. For what it's right. So yeah. You want to switch over to the defense a little bit? What's the strength of the Auburn defense this year?
So the strength is easily our defensive line. We have 2 edges coming back, Derek Hall and Akuliota. Yeah. They're both seniors. I think probably top 2 or 3 round draft picks coming up. And then we have in the middle, we have a transfer from Oregon, Jason Jones. He's a really big, like 6'5", 320 kind of guy. And then we have Marcus Harris, who's pretty decent pass rushing D tackle. And then we also have Colby Wooden, who's another one of those older guys. I think he's also a senior, probably a day 1, day 2 draft pick kind of guy. I really think the first 2 games we haven't really opened up the stunts and the blitzes, and I really expect us to go all out, with getting those guys involved and getting those guys to the passer, because last year, I think Sean Clifford was like 28 of 32 or something. I was about to bash my brains in it at the stadium last year. And I hope they don't let them just rush 3 or 4, drop back in soft zone coverage, and let him just pick us apart again like last year. So really hoping we send some blitz packages, and I think that's going to start with our edges on the corner. So
Yeah, I think that was the problem last year, is that for how bad Penn State's offensive line was at times last year, he was pretty comfortable in that Auburn game. And even though you guys had a pretty good secondary last year, he was able to just kind of sit and wait and let his guys get open. Obviously, especially Dotson. But now that McCreary, the talented cornerback, is gone, is there more of an urgency for these defensive linemen to get after Clifford? Because I would assume a little weaker in the secondary. Is that fair to say?
yeah, so I would say we're weaker. I mean, Roger McCreary, he's starting already for the Titans. He's a really good DB. I think we're a little bit deeper. We got a JUCO guy, the number 1 JUCO corner, Keontae Scott, and then we got another transfer from Oregon, DJ James, who I think over the first 2 games have looked to be our best 2 corners, and they're right now our backups. So we got 4 guys who are pretty, we feel pretty good with and confident sticking out there, but we don't have a McCreary. We don't have a guy that we can just put on your best guy and, face up man to man. But yeah, there is a little bit more of a importance on the D line and getting after the quarterback this year. But last year we just played zone all game, so we didn't really get to see McCreary or any of those cornerbacks show what they got. So I'm hoping we can get after the quarterback and, play a little bit more man to man this year and not just give Clifford the ability to just sit back there and pick us apart. So.
Yeah, I think that's where, Penn State has a little bit of an advantage too, because last year, this is last year and you guys are playing man-to-man and it's McCreary on Dotson. Like that's a problem for Penn State then. But I think now that Penn State has kind of accepted that they don't have a number 1 receiver, but they have 3 guys in Keandre Lambert-Smith, Parker Washington, and Mitchell Tinsley that they like, as I think all of them are like a pretty good number 2 receiver, where it's kind of hard to game plan for this offense because Clifford can just go to all 3 and, any day that one of them could be the number 1 receiver. And then next week, maybe that guy's 3rd or 4th in receptions and yards. I think that's kind of, the unique challenge Penn State brings this year offensively, is that you can't just game plan for Clifford locking on a Dotson 10 or 12 times a game. It's going to be a spread out effort from them.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah.
17 pass catchers last week against Ohio.
17?
Yeah, 17.
Holy crap. I don't even know if we have 17 people who can catch a pass on our team.
I counted actually, because I think we have close.
That's got to be some kind of record. I've never heard of that.
It was a school record. Yeah, it was more than more guys caught a pass against Ohio than all of last season. So I think we're up.
If we have 17 completions this year.
Yeah, we're up. I think we have 20 guys that caught a pass, and Auburn only has 8. So I mean, obviously playing Ohio helped, but it's just crazy how many different guys have gotten involved so far. So it's hard. It's honestly hard to kind of get a gauge on what this Penn State starting receiving core is, because they played pretty much all of the Purdue game, and then last week, Clifford comes in. They have a pretty efficient first half, and then Alar comes in, and it's the second and third string guys. So just I think a lot of guys showed things, but no one really standing out as the number 1 so far.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to see 17 pass catchers this week, right? It'll be more close to 5, 6, 7, something like that.
Yeah. So I wanted to get to the run game, because last week was like hell freezing over for Penn State fans, with Nick Singleton going for 179 yards after we didn't have an 100-yard rusher all of last year. I mean, it was nuts. A lot of his runs were outside of the tackles, kind of just breaking away from guys down the sideline. And I guess you can answer this. I really don't know if that'll be the same case this week. I know Auburn has a couple talented linebackers in Cam Riley and Owen Popo. I mean, those guys are fast, right? Like I'm not expecting the true freshman running back to run kind of the length of the field and then break it up the sideline again.
Yeah, I'd hope not. I mean, we got Owen Papo, who's our middle linebacker, who's like a 4.4 runner. We got a bunch of guys on the edge who are quick. I saw some stat. It was like, I think Penn State ran 2 yards per carry against Purdue.
It wasn't
2 or
good.
3 maybe, and then they opened it up against Ohio. But I'm hoping that kind of carries over. You got the away team and coming in Jordan-Hare, and we got a little bit more fast and physical linebackers, safeties who can stop the run. So I would hope that if y'all beat us, it's probably, I would think, through the air.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if it's going to be as lopsided last year in terms of our passing to running efficiency, but
Yeah.
I mean we still haven't seen a lot between the tackles. I think Nate and I talked about this on our Ohio recap. It was Singleton had an 11-yard run through the tackles to kind of start the day, and then after that, pretty much everything was outside. So I think Penn State has to pick. Do we try to open things up inside, or do we take our chances out in space with these talented linebackers? I think it's something they're definitely thinking about this week because they're going to have to pick one, I feel like.
Yeah, and we don't have a real bruiser running back right yet. So Nick Singleton's big, 205, 210, and fast. And Kevon Lee is a little bigger, but he hasn't really shown consistency to generate yards between the tackles either because he doesn't have that quick first step. So, yeah, I think you got to pick, and you're probably going to go outside or try, at least in the beginning, to do what worked last week, yeah?
Yeah. You will see. So this has been talked about a lot. I know Josh Pate talked about it too today. How much of a home field advantage do you think Auburn has and like what it's worth? I know Urban Meyer said at one time the Penn State wideout was worth 10 points to him. Now, I don't know if that was him trying to save face because I think the 3 times he played there, every game was 1 possession or less, and a loss. So I don't know if that was just him trying to be nice to make himself look good, but how much of a home field advantage do you think it is down in Auburn?
Man, there's no telling. I mean, last year, I think we had a 2-game or 3-game losing streak going into Alabama. We had our backup quarterback, who's TJ Finley, who didn't start any of the games. I think we were 20-point underdogs, and we had every opportunity in the world to win that game. I mean, there's probably 6 different plays where if this certain small thing would have went our way, they would have called this penalty. This guy wouldn't have stepped out of bounds here. We win that game easily. I mean, they had guys coming out of the stadium. So it could be anything. They always talk about that Jordan-Hare voodoo, and it's real. I've seen teams, we come in here and I think, we look awful one week and the next week it's like, where did this come from? It's like whole different team shows up one week. And then especially when you got a game like this, big time environment, everyone's been waiting for this. We've been waiting since the last year for this game. We haven't played a good game yet. There's just going to be something in the air, I think. And, I really hope. And if we were playing in Penn State, I wouldn't feel very good. I would probably be conceding it right now, but with us and Jordan-Hare and the big environment and the crowd and everything going on, I think that really plays in our favor. And I've been going to games at Auburn since 2004. I've had season tickets, been to a lot of games, seen a lot of crazy upsets, and I've seen the kick six, all those plays. So there's always something that happens, and I don't know. This one feels like you can usually feel it like leading up to the week, and this just feels like it's going to be something kind of weird. You're probably going to be walking out of there and like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So the people don't care, obviously, about this nearly as much as they would the Iron Bowl or probably any other SEC West game. But what is the fan base's expectation and kind of excitement for this game?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of hype, and I think that builds a lot because our first 2 games, like I mentioned, were against bad opponents, and we've just, got the football blue balls right now. Like we're ready for something to be excited about. I mean, last week I got season tickets. I live 2 hours from the stadium. I'm obviously a huge Auburn fan. I didn't even think about going last week. I'm just like, you know what? We got 5 home games in a row. I went to the first one. I'll go to Penn State and then Mizzou and LSU. So I think around campus, I have some friends there. They said it's buzzing. You can always feel it, especially as a student. Once that Wednesday hits, all the tailgates start getting popped up. We have these white tents. They start popping up around campus, and all of a sudden you just kind of feel the energy start vibrating around everybody. You start seeing RVs park out there on a Wednesday. That's when you know it's a big game. You start seeing people coming in early on the week, coming in on a Thursday. So I think it's a big game. People are really expecting a big big time environment. A little bit of a letdown that we didn't get the night game, have the light show and all that, extended tailgates. But, all Iron Balls and usually Georgia games are 2:30 kickoffs, so we're used to it. So
they have the LEDs
I think the fan
there.
base is ready.
Yeah, they have the LED lights there with the.
Yeah, and it looks extra cool. And if you look back last year when we played Ole Miss, we did the orange out against them. We had the orange face mask. You have, the orange LED lights coming down in the fourth quarter. It's pretty sweet.
That's Penn State needs to get those.
Yeah. I think a lot of Auburn fans before they did it, I think Georgia and Alabama had them first, and they're like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to copy them. And then when we got it, we're like, all right.
Oh, you have to.
I see why. This is pretty cool.
So, you see, after Saturday, Penn State fans are talking about how, Auburn, they looked like crap against San Jose State, and, we looked good against Ohio. But you need to, throw those things out immediately, right? It does not matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
San Jose was absolutely a trap game for Auburn and just came at, the wrong time, I guess, or a bad time. And they won, and that's all that matters. If they lost, it would have been a different story. So, I think we Penn State fans need to expect a lot closer game than what the confidence I see on Twitter is showing right now, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we're that good of a team, yet, but I think this game being the first big game of the season, even if we suck the rest of the year, I think this would probably shape up to be hopefully our better game.
Yeah. And, you talked about the air earlier. How much of a factor do you think the weather is for this team? I know it was kind of warm last year when you guys came up, but for the team, how much does that humidity and heat play a role? And for Nate in the stands too, what
I think it's more going to affect Nate in the stands, honestly.
I live in Houston, man.
That is true.
That is nothing compared.
I just moved from Houston a couple months ago, so. But yeah, so I was actually there week 1. I think it was about 85 or 84, which is pretty much what it's supposed to be now. And even with the clouds out, you can kind of feel the heat. You're Houston, it's the humidity. But if you play football, you're under the lights. You're not really, unless it's 95 degrees out there and just coming down on you. I don't think 86 degrees and humidity is really going to affect them enough to where it really affects the score. And I'm sure Penn State guys have some Florida boys down there and South Carolina, whatnot. So I think that's a little overplayed. If it was 95 degrees, I would be like, okay, maybe.
Or if it was game 1. If it was the first game, I'd be a little more concerned. It takes a little while to get that, get the cramp resistance out and things like that, right? By the third week, they should be okay. But
yeah.
So before we get to the predictions, I did want to bring up Nate's numbers here and just you explain what we got going on here. What is what?
Yeah. So this is the PSU Analytics game preview. Okay. Oh, look at that.
There you go.
Slideshow. Thanks. So on the left, we have the offensive comparison. So here, higher is better in 3 different categories. So yards per possession, points per every 10 possessions, and then the overall efficiency that I calculate. And obviously, Penn State is blue and Auburn is orange. And what you see, Auburn a little bit actually better at moving the ball than Penn State. Keep in mind, this is only I guess this must be both games, I guess. Or no, this is only FBS. So this is only against San Jose State. So they moved the ball well, but didn't quite score as much as Penn State did, obviously, against Ohio and Purdue. And Penn State has a fairly clear edge so far in the offensive efficiency. But then when you go to the defensive side of the ball, here lower, everything that's lower is better. And strangely, I guess, Penn State has held Ohio and Purdue to fewer yards per possession than Auburn did San Jose, but then Auburn has a better defensive efficiency at that 15.9 versus 20.5 number. So it looks like there's a pretty good match here. We'll see. I'm a little bit, I won't say concerned, but definitely more cautious about the Auburn passing game than I think a lot of people are. People have been talking about TJ Finley and how he's not that good, but they are moving the ball pretty well. He has a very high completion percentage. They just haven't scored in this game, at least, and maybe against Mercer as they should. And their defense last week was pretty strong. So we'll see how this goes. But I don't know. Kyle, any comments on what you see here?
Yeah, no, it looks right. We've had a lot of big plays, it seems like, and then going off of that TJ Finley thing, Yeah, he hasn't looked all that great, but I mean, it's not like when he throws the ball, he doesn't look like a capable quarterback. Like the ball comes out of his hand good. He's a 6'7" quarterback. He's been accurate down the field, which has been a change. It's just been those stupid plays where he just makes bad throws, and I'm just hopeful that he doesn't make those bad throws this game. And then another thing is I think partly where we have that higher yards per possession and lower points comes in those turnovers. I think we're -4 in turnovers, which come on, man, that's bound to change here soon. Yep. So.
We're even in turnovers. We had 0-4-0 against the last game, and I think 1-1 in the first game. So, I saw it. Well, I didn't see. I looked up an interesting stat yesterday that Auburn is like 10th or in the top 10 in rushing, 240, 235 yards a game, but like 106th in time of possession, which I thought was crazy. So I don't know if they're. I don't know how much they're huddling or if they're just moving really fast and, having drives stall out or, like you said, the turnovers or something. But that you would expect a team that rushes the ball that well would hold the ball better than they have been so far.
Yeah, that's weird. I would say maybe time possession probably comes from some picks, and a lot of our runs have been
pretty long.
We've had a lot of pretty big plays on the run.
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
I'd say that's probably where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State has not done a lot in the turnover department. I mean, they just have one turnover, but they only got one. I think, they both of those turnovers led to
game
7
changers.
They both led to 7 points. So they kind of
that one was the Clifford pick 6, right?
Yeah, yep. and then we got a strip safety stripped a running back late in the first half against Purdue. They ran down the field within 30 seconds and scored. So I mean, they evened out. But
so it all happened in the first half, right?
The pick 6 was in the second half, but but then they dropped about 12 interceptions that game too. So
Joey Porter had a pick 6 he dropped, but hopefully that the first game drop stuff is out of the way. Hopefully, so it was hopefully anyway. We'll see though. All right, so I guess we'll get to the predictions. I've gone back and forth on this game for a while. In my official game-by-game prediction I did for Victory Bell Rings over on the website, I actually had Penn State losing this game just because I saw them going 9-3, and I couldn't find a third definite loss, but I wasn't like really confident enough to pick 10 wins was kind of where I was at in a way, and I felt like I went with Auburn by default, and I think I had Auburn by 3. I've kind of swung in the other direction a little bit. I know, Auburn maybe not looking good last week has played a lot more in my mind than it should, I feel like. So I kind of like the line. I kind of like Penn State by 3 right now. I don't know, like 24-21. I think this game's playing in the 20s again. I will say that either way, no matter who wins. I think I'd be surprised if anyone gets over 28. The over-under's I think it went down to 47.5. I think it started at 49. So I would be surprised if anyone got over 28. I think, I think 24 is the number if you want to win this game, in all honesty. But I'm going to take Penn State by a field goal here just because I think, people can hate on Clifford. I just think if it came down to, it gets into a shootout late a little, I think I trust him and the stable of receivers. They have a little more to maybe score if they need to at the end.
Yeah, that's fair. If I was a Penn State fan, I would probably be picking Penn State. I think y'all got the better quarterback. I think y'all have probably the better O-line. I think you probably have the better team overall. Luckily, we get the home game this year and not y'all. Because if it was y'all, I'd probably be giving y'all 10 points. But, yeah, I don't think anyone's getting over 30. I'd be very surprised if Auburn or Penn State scored 30.
Yeah.
I hope it's not one of those like 10-7 games. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's probably going to be somewhere in like the 21-27, 24-27, 21-17 kind of game. I'm also going to take Auburn by a field goal. Partly, I think Brian Harsin out here is probably coaching for his life.
Yeah,
I think he loses to Penn State. I think we're probably losing at LSU. At that point, we're 3-2, and then we got Georgia, and then we're 3-3, and then we're at Ole Miss, and then we got Arkansas. I mean, he loses this game, and we lose a little bit of confidence, and season's over. He might as well start walking back to Idaho. So,
he's got a tough road ahead.
Desperate teams do play good. So I mean, if showing urgency, the team's going to follow suit. So I definitely see it. I do. I know the home field advantage is real. We know it up here. It's definitely real down there. It wouldn't really surprise me to see Auburn win. I don't know. I'm just kind of going with the whole quarterback thing again. I guess everything in college football just kind of seems to lead back to quarterback play 99% of the time.
Yeah.
What do you got, Nate?
So I, at the beginning of the year, picked Auburn with the algorithm by a couple of points, and that came down to Penn State's offense really being subpar towards the end of the year. So I think I had Auburn by 2, assuming a 3-point home field advantage. So it was really, they're dead even. I'm going right, and I'd rather leave happy if something good works out than go in excited and then be disappointed. So I'm gonna say 24-21, one way or the other. I don't know which way yet, so we'll just call it a tie. You guys both pick by 3. I'll pick somebody by 3, but I don't know who. I want it obviously to be Penn State more than anything, but it's a long flight to and from Atlanta to go.
Are you going down to the game?
Nate is. I'm not. No, I'm not. Nate is. Yeah.
When are you coming in?
We're coming. My son and I are going Friday to Atlanta, and then we're going to go look at Georgia Tech, tour Georgia Tech. I'm a very old guy, Kyle. And then we're going to drive down. We'll drive down Saturday morning. We're staying halfway in between. So
cool.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
tickets were super expensive. So it's
they've fallen a little bit, but
yeah. So yeah, it'll be cool. I mean, yeah. So what's your advice? We'll get there, try to get there 7, 8 in the morning, but what do you do?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think getting there early, if you wanted 7 to 8 would be great. You'll probably find free parking in Auburn, honestly, if you get there that early. Pretty close to the stadium too. But yeah, no, for breakfast, there's a place called Byron's right across the street from where I lived in college. I've had many hangover meals there. I've had many meals on the way to my first class there. It's just a good old Southern barbecue joint that has breakfast. That's probably better breakfast. Get a bacon, egg, and cheese or sausage, egg, and cheese. Put a little grape jelly on there. And then so after that, go to. I'd start your day at Toomer's Corner. Yeah. Get you a Toomer's lemonade. That's our big thing there. It's right on the corner of our main 2 intersections on campus, right in front of the Auburn University sign. There's parking over there. You can find lots to park in or whatever. So basically our campus is a big block. It's a big square. And on the south end, kind of towards the middle, is Jordan-Hare Stadium. Basically our campus revolves around it. So it's a lot different than Penn State's tailgating. It's a lot different than Penn State's setup. You'll go across the street, start seeing tailgates everywhere on that block. There'll be tailgates everywhere. And then get close to the stadium, you'll see more tailgates. There's areas, that have a bunch of tailgates, and some areas are kind of dispersed out. But, I think I really advise Penn State fans that are coming to just walk on campus, go up to all those areas, go up to people in tailgates. People, especially Auburn fans, want to talk to other fans, especially non-SEC fans that we don't play every other year. They want people to come to Auburn and enjoy it and have a good time. So, I think you can walk up to tailgates and all those big white tents and start go up to them hey man,
that's cool.
Visiting Auburn, awesome campus, love the environment. I'm really excited for the game today. They're heck yeah, here's a beer, and then just start talking, and then you're in there. So.
Not like those damn Iowa fans. They're the worst.
It's Auburn. Auburn alumni and fans really truly pride themselves on being the nicest fan base in the SEC, and you'll see it.
Cool.
You'll probably get some remarks. Every away game you go to. When I was in Penn State, I got some remarks usually from students, but 85-90% of your experience should be a good time.
And 85-90% of yours was good too, right?
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I've probably got more Roll Tides there than I've gotten even when I was in Tuscaloosa. But.
Yeah, I don't know why that was a thing. I was very confused. I was walking around. I was very confused about that.
Yeah. I'm used to that though. Wherever we go, we'll go to like Mississippi State or somewhere, and they're like, "Roll Tide." I'm like, "You haven't beat Alabama in 15 years."
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's weird for another SEC school to say, unless it's Georgia.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't understand why
Right.
anyone else would say that. But that is funny.
But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty similar when I was in State College. I thought all of the older alumni were really welcoming. I walked up to some tailgates and had some people like give me drinks and just give me some food. So
That's cool. Very
yeah,
good.
it was a good experience.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, we honestly really appreciate you coming on because, a team we don't see a lot at Auburn. So we did need some insight on this. We totally appreciate it. You can find them on Twitter at allauburn, ALLAUBARN, right? I think I got that right. Yep. Find them on there. Good follow. You were the first Auburn fan to ever reach out to me about what can I expect in Happy Valley. How's Penn State like? So that was always cool.
Yeah.
So, it's been fun. Hopefully in the future, sometime we'll see Auburn in the playoff or a big bowl game or something. That's the plan, I think, because I think the two fan bases are two of the most loyal and love their excited about their teams and everything, and rabid on Twitter. So I think it would be fun to, keep this going even if the series isn't there.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be cool. I've always been kind of against the 12-team playoff, but one of the cool things of that is being able to play cross-conference big games. Hopefully with the 12 teams, those might be some home and homes there again. So some more traveling to other college campuses. So maybe in the future it'd be pretty cool.
Can I ask you one more question before you go from our friend Tequila Ty? Can you explain War Eagle and what the history of that is, please?
Okay, so we're the Tigers. We're not the War Eagles or the Eagles or whatever. We're the Tigers. But War Eagle is our chant. There's some long drawn out story about a football game. Like, you'd have to look it up, but look up like the War Eagle story. But in short, it's something about some game back in the early 1900s or something. Some old Civil War veteran was at the game, had an eagle that he had with him in the battlefield, and he flew around the field, and then he died on the middle of the field, on the center on the logo, and everyone's like, "Hey, look, that's a War Eagle." So there's a little bit longer story, but that's the gist of it.
That's pretty impressive. That's a good one. That's a good story. That is good.
You have to look it up though. It's a pretty cool story.
Awesome. All right. Well,
thanks, Kyle.
Good luck. Yeah. Good luck Saturday, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
Thank
Hope
you.
You have a good time too. So.
Thank you.
All right. See you. Right. All right. So we definitely appreciate Kyle stopping by because we did need some insight, and that was fun. And Nate got to, get some heads up for what to do Saturday.
He said, walk into tailgates and just take beers, I think is what he said, right? Like, don't ask, just take.
Yeah, and then just take the car keys while you're at it too. Yeah. So before we get to Tyler, I did have to do something because JNELLY could not be with us, but I did get like a 1,000-word paragraph on what he thinks is gonna happen. So he begged me to read them off, so I have to read them off. So these are JNELLY's bets for what are we, week 3? Yeah, week 3 of the college football season. So he has BYU over Oregon. BYU has shown they can compete with top-ranked teams. It's time we start taking them serious. And Oregon just doesn't look good. Nebraska.
What's the line? Did he give you?
He didn't get. I didn't get the line on that.
BYU has to be favored in that game, right?
I don't unless it's in Oregon. I'm not sure. You could look that up, and I'll keep reading. But we have Nebraska plus 11 against OU. So he's given Nebraska the points. I think they rally, and the home field really helps. These are not worded well. So, South Carolina.
Oregon minus 3.5. Oregon, BYU money line plus 145. So if you're taking BYU outright, you're taking
the money line. Yeah. South Carolina plus 24.5 versus Georgia. This number is just huge. It's at South Carolina. It's their Super Bowl. They have beat them before with a subpar team. Let's see if Spencer Rattler can actually do something. So he has take the points with South Carolina over Georgia. And then his big pick, which he put separately, Western Michigan money line versus Pitt. He did not give a reason. That might just be that he hates Pitt. But Western Michigan lost a lot from that team that upset Pitt last year. So we'll see. But it is in Western Michigan. Can you imagine playing a home and home with Western Michigan? Like,
so, oh my God. So I was before we got on the podcast, I was going in to see like all the different like that guy tweeted about how Auburn's 16-1 or whatever in the last 17 home games, and it's like, like 12 of the teams are either 1AA or MAC or Sun Belt or whatever, right? It's not they're not playing world beaters there because they didn't. But then they don't play those teams away, like you're saying.
Right.
What the hell is Pitt agreeing to? I guess.
Yeah,
I guess they want fans in their stands, and that's the only way they can do it. Is
I don't know. That had to be like agreed to in like 2012 or something. I don't know.
Oh, they suck.
That one's weird.
You know what? So Tyler's gonna come on, but man, like last week was just too good to watch them lose, watch Notre Dame lose, watch A&M lose, watch all these teams lose. That like karmically, like we're sitting on the edge. Like I was too happy to watch teams lose last week to think that everything's gonna work out good this week for Penn State. Yeah,
and we talked about in our Ohio preview how like people were nervous because Ohio beat FAU, and it's like they could get out, and Penn State comes out and smacks them, and all these other games that no one's talking about, all these teams get upset. So that we talked about that with the Purdue game too. It's like the upset everyone talks about all week, like rarely happens. It's the stuff no one sees coming. And you had 3 or 4 of them. Almost had Texas over Alabama too. So just never know what's gonna happen. I don't know if Tyler's ready. His phone was in his face. All right, he's ready. So bring him on after his little hiatus for a little bit.
Tyler's got the best camera out of everybody. I don't know. That is like a 4K.
Yeah, it does look good, actually.
120 megahertz camera. 120 hertz.
Graduation gift.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we do have a drink this week, so I'm gonna blow this up.
Before we talk about that.
Okay.
Can we talk about this War Eagle story real quick? Because I'm calling.
All right.
He was basically telling you to like Google it. And, like, waste my time.
He was already on for like 40 minutes. I think he was like over it, but
yeah, he definitely. That's just some drunk college story they talk about. I'm not buying it.
I heard a different story that like they were down in a game in like 1922. And an eagle flew over the stadium, and then like they came back and won.
And they captured it, right?
And then like they kept it as a pet or something. So I don't know what is.
The whole reason I asked because you guys were talking about the whole like Roll Tide thing when they came up there last year, and I definitely saw students doing that. But I was the one asking what the hell War Eagle meant, and no one would answer me, so I had to ask.
I honestly I don't read the chat because I have all the other things up here, so the chat's like way down my screen, so I'm glad Nate caught that for you though.
There's a very long Wikipedia about it, so you can go check that. You can Google it too, but yeah, it looks like more like the Civil War story.
It'll be my time story tonight.
Yeah, now they have a bald eagle. I really like bald eagles, and they used to have a like not bald eagle, whatever, like a golden eagle or whatever, so they're moving up in the world.
I didn't even know there were different eagles, honestly. But
oh my God. You've never looked at birds? Huh?
No, I'm not good with birds.
Bald eagles are cool.
Yeah.
They're big.
Yeah.
Anyway. Aren't they endangered?
They used to be.
I don't know anymore. I think that's like a big project, so they're like, okay now. I don't know.
Gotta take care of them.
All right. Are you good now?
You go to jail if you kill a bald eagle.
That's
for a long time.
It's like a federal crime. Yeah.
I don't plan on killing a bald eagle. So
I thought you just said you'll take care of them, though. That's what I misheard.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. Anyway, let me get this up here. So
cut that out.
Here we go.
All right. So I'll keep this blown up for a little bit while you kind of introduce it, and then I'll minimize it. So.
Yeah. So this is my little drink of the week here. Kind of wanted to give it on last week for the home game, but wasn't able to make it on. So in the big game fashion, let's throw it out there. It's kind of an earlier game. I know down there, Nate, when you're going 2:30 kickoff, it's not the night game we kind of all expected. So never hurts to start drinking early. And the best way to do so is with a little mimosa action. This one here, though, gives you the little Penn State blue. So you can make the mimosa around the team color. So basically, it's just a mimosa. Got to go heavy with the pour of the champagne. And then instead of the orange juice, throw in some lemonade. And then throw in the blue carousel for the color. And then to top it off, throw in some blueberries. It's just a nice little way to get the Penn State action going, but also having the drinking mode activated early in the morning, you know?
All right, I like it.
I think that's fantastic. What kind of lemonade?
I always go simply.
Okay.
But if you're feeling spicy, you can always go to Chick-fil-A and pick up some lemonade.
That line will probably be out the ass.
Yeah.
That's why you go Friday night.
But do you simply with pulp or no pulp? I guess does lemonade. I guess you can get lemonade.
Yeah, lemonade is pulp.
Yeah, lemonade is always pulp.
That's good. That's
very good.
And then you say dry prosecco or champagne. So you have a preference for dry prosecco, I guess.
Yeah, me and my mom kind of created this together, and she likes prosecco. I just threw the champagne on there because you can kind of do it with whatever. I actually got the prosecco right here. I'm going to make it on Saturday for myself. So.
And then last question: do you muddle the blueberries, or you just drop them in for like a nice little, like to sit at the bottom?
So you muddle a couple, but then you want to drop in 1 or 2 whole ones just for the image.
Okay, they should serve this at bars. I think that's really good. It's like that's pretty well thought through.
Alec and I have always talked about we're going to open a bar at Penn State one day.
Yeah, because they're starting to thin out, honestly, a little bit.
It's too easy. A college town.
Yeah, need some new blood out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, this be our signature, drink. We'll go with this.
If Tyler is the mixologist or whatever, I will back that bar. Like,
let's go.
I will go all in on Tyler opening a bar at State College. I think there is nobody that knows their market better.
Oh my gosh, seriously. Grew up there my whole life. Probably funded half their bars to stay open during COVID.
That's great.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say it was nice for you to actually think of a unique drink and not just come on and be like Bud Light because it's a blue can. Like, very proud of you.
Ranch water.
Yeah.
I got a good one for Central Michigan. Hopefully it's going to be able to be up there for the tailgates,
Yeah, I mean, noon games. So I don't know how much tailgating we're doing again. Just these noon home games.
It's a post-game tailgate.
Yeah, that's what you got to do for noon games, honestly.
Celebration.
The problem is if they lose, that's when I was just like, I want to, get the hell out of here.
Well, that's what happens when we play Illinois, and then you just go as drunk as humanly possible.
Yeah, that did happen too. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you drink. You have a point because you either drink to forget or there's never a bad time to drink, really. I guess.
Never a bad time to drink.
No.
And then you get in a lot of heated arguments about who messed up the game and if Franklin deserves to be the coach. And it's fun then. And honestly, it's more fun after a loss at a noon game than it is after a win.
And it's probably way more fun in person than it is online arguing on Twitter or on the message board or whatever.
Yeah.
Who do you got for the game, Tyler? What's your pick?
I got Penn State 27-20, 4 touchdowns, and Pinniger misses an extra point because that kid fucking sucks.
Jesus.
We were doing so good.
All right. I will say though, you have a point a little bit. The field goal kicking on Saturday against Ohio was not, I think, what we wanted to see. So I think it is
bench for a year. Apparently had a great camp, and then he comes out and shanks 2 kicks. Come on.
Yeah. It just can't happen at Auburn, where like we just talked about, points are going to be at a premium.
That's a game this year if he keeps kicking like that, especially in high pressure moments.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a game where you got to be perfect. We talked about the turnover margin too. They got to win that.
And if he misses another kick early, like it's just going to snowball, and like his confidence is going to go to hell, and it's over. I don't like that they came out and said, "Who's it?"
Sahaydock.
Yeah, Sahaydock is 52 yards and above, right? So like
the 35-yard line.
Pick one kicker and stick with him.
Yeah.
So
I also said I think we need at least 2 turnovers to win this. If Auburn gets the run game going and just crowns out the clock, I don't think we have the offense to just sustain drives that we would need to. So we need to create at least a 2 turnover margin.
How they run is going to be a big dictation of this game because if they run for 200 or more yards, that's 30 minutes probably off the clock, and then what are you going to do? But Clifford has looked good. They've moved the ball pretty quick too.
So here's the thing: it's either we got to go no huddle and hope to score every drive because our defense is going to get tired either way if they're on the field.
Yeah,
we just go in those 3-and-out drives where we're trying to sustain a drive or anything. We haven't shown that well at all. So
nope.
Get into that mode, I'm a little worried, but I think if we keep the foot on the gas, our defense may get tired to be on the field a ton, but we're scoring points consistently, which is going to help us.
in the most cliched thing ever, you hope that they were holding something back and didn't open up the playbook over the first 2 weeks. Right?
Well, I mean, last year the Auburn game was pretty much the only game I thought we had like a unique game plan from Yurcich. You know, he did this stuff with the tight ends. He had the one play.
Awesome.
You know, the one player who puts the right tackle out wide, and the tight end's playing right tackle and then is eligible to catch a pass and all that. So I really hope we see that again. I think we need to, but like you said, I do think we do need turnovers with how much they're going to run the ball. But I think we also have to run the ball, because if they are going to run out the clock and go on these 6-7 minute drives,
you got to keep the defense up.
Yeah, we can't throw the ball 3 times and go 3 and out and take 20 seconds off the clock. They got to be able to at least be competitive running the ball. Even if it's just 4 yards a carry, it's better than I think what we've seen at times. So I think it's something they have to do.
On my lunch break today, I watched somebody did the NCAA 2014 simulation.
Yeah, I watched a couple today. Yeah,
and the one Penn State won 33-25.
Yeah, it was 24-0 though.
Yeah, I know. They came back. But like Clifford had 20 carries. It was just like dipping his shoulder into 4 guys. So if that happens, it's like the Drew Aller stock goes way up. But every play that I watched, they threw. It was either him running or them throwing. So that's not how you want this to be.
Those simulations are very odd with the play calling and stuff. It never really makes sense.
But I'd take 33-25.
I think we got to not get complacent too. Like if we have a big lead, we got to keep going at them.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I always had a problem with Ricky Ronnie was when they got up in that Michigan game 21-0, and then the finals 28-7, and then that Purdue game they put up 28 points in the first quarter and the final score was 35-7. Like, come on. Like, I know, Purdue wasn't really a threat there, but the fact that then you scored 7 points over the remaining 3 quarters, that was always my problem with him. So I think Yurcich needs to keep the foot on the pedal.
You got your throat in the neck. You got to keep pushing.
Yeah. I do feel like James Franklin's been a lot more aggressive, at least in his talk of the past year or so, right? Up until Clifford got hurt last year, he was more assertive in the way he was discussing the team last year, and then everything went to hell. But hopefully, gets that back, and that's it. Right? And they just want to kill everybody. So,
that's
I'm feeling confident though. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling confident.
Mine's waning a little bit.
These Nittany Mimosas are going to get me more confident.
That is true. Kind of like what Kyle said, though. I feel like if this game was up here at Penn State, I don't think it's close, if I'm being honest. I think we win by 10-14 rather easily. It's just, their home field advantage, it does mean something. It means something for every team, let's be honest. It even means something for Indiana when it's a noon game at 12 in November and it's overcast and there's 20,000 people in the stands. Like, just the point of having to travel and not sleep in your own bed and all that, it plays a role even a little bit.
And they're still kids playing the game. They're 19 and plus 24 now, but still they're mostly 19 to 22, 18. Like it's changed, especially traveling that far. It's going to be a big difference. So
But the idea, like, what I hate is that Sean Clifford has never played in this kind of environment. Like, I was there in 2019 when he was at Iowa, and he looked like hell. And then when he went back in 2021, it was way different. And last 2 weeks ago, he played really well against Purdue, and he played really well at Ohio State last year. So, like, that is the most important position where you don't want the guy to crap the bed. And I think he is well over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a 24-year-old that's in his fourth year of starting, sixth year, sat 2 years behind Trace McSorley, arguably, the best quarterback to come through here. I think he has enough experience through his own play and watching Trace play where this kind of stuff shouldn't matter. Maybe to some of the younger guys it will, but the excuses for him, there really aren't none in terms of being affected by crowds.
Yep. So I don't know. Quarterback would be the one position that I really get nervous. Like, Mitchell Tinsley's not going to drop more balls because of the crowd or something like that. Yeah. Andre Lambert-Smith might. I don't know. He's struggled a little bit this year.
I think he's a guy. Get going on jet sweeps and stuff, because teams have proven they can't really tackle him. Like, you watch that that Purdue game, once he had the ball in his hands, he was
Yeah,
bouncing off of guys and breaking away from guys.
What I really liked what they do with him is when they motion him into that trips tight set they did in the Purdue drive.
With the
Put him in those
screens.
situations, you get 2 straight up blockers and just let him make a move from there.
Yeah.
The more you can get players like that in the open field and have one man miss and he can go for 30 yards, the better will do.
Yeah. So coming on an hour here, so I think we're gonna let this one go. Next week, I think we're only gonna do one episode, try to save some time because they are playing Central Michigan, and Central Michigan looked like a threat maybe before the year after going 9-4 last year, but they have not looked good so far. They gave up 38 points to South Alabama last week and lost. So I think we can kind of fit that into one episode. I would hope. Hopefully, we're talking about a Penn State win. On the fence here. It's going to go either way, I think. But once again, appreciate Kyle hopping on for 40 minutes. That was a long talk, but a lot of good stuff there. Tyler, thanks for the drink. As always. Nate, it was a good one. Thanks for the stats and all the numbers. Appreciate you doing that too.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Huh?
All right. Thanks for watching.